This is a conference which is being organized, and it aims at sharing the current knowledge on issues of climate change with a particular focus on Africa. And this will actually involve scientists from all over the world, but the focus will be more on issues pertaining to Africa in the context of climate change. This is a conference which will actually provide an avenue for sharing advances in scientific advances on issues of climate change. And you might be aware that climate change is an emerging issue, and there is quite a lot which is not yet known, and there has been quite a lot of research going on, both within Africa and outside Africa. And therefore, this avenue will provide an opportunity for scientists to share current knowledge on issues of climate change. And the emphasis will be more on issues that are more relevant to African development. And that's why the focus will be more on two thematic areas. One, looking at how climate change is and will continue affecting ecosystems. And this is important because we know that our communities, particularly in the rural areas, are actually dependent very much on natural resources for their livelihoods. But more so, another thematic area which is equally important is on climate change and food security. And this is very much related to the first theme that thematic area I just mentioned. And again, the interest will be trying to see how these extreme events, extreme droughts and extreme floods, have actually been affecting people's livelihoods. But I think the more important aspect is to get to know what is the future situation. Now, the new scientific findings actually give us a reflection of the anticipated impacts on food security as well. But a third component of the research of the conference will be actually focusing more on looking at the innovations as one of the very important solutions in addressing some of these challenges. So there will be quite a lot of very interesting presentations focusing on innovations. How best can we address this global challenge through innovation sort of envelope? So those are the three thematic areas that this conference will actually focus on. So we have tried our best to bring on board the international scientists, and actually some of them who are very much involved in the IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, of which I'm also a vice chair of Working Group 2 in these international UN organizations. So we expect a lot during this conference, but something that we have to also emphasize is that we are not just meeting for the sake of sharing the scientific sort of findings for the sake of science, but we want to go as far as sort of digesting what are the key policy messages that will be coming out of that out of those scientific papers that will be presented. The conference will be preceded by 4 keynote speeches from the internationally renowned scientists, and therefore they will set, those keynote speeches will set a scene, sort of a basis for the papers that will follow. And I should also mention that in the afternoon of the second day, there will be a high-level session which will also be attended by high-level authorities. And we are hoping that there will also be participation from international organizations like SADC Secretariat, East African Community, but also high-level representations from neighboring countries. We invited the government of Mozambique, Malawi, Uganda, and some other countries as well. And we are hoping that there will also be participation of the diplomatic missions, on that particular day. So really, and the whole effort is to see to it that we actually get prepared for the anticipated impacts, which would be much more than what we are seeing today. On day one, I should also mention that one of the very important events would be launching of a book, of which I'm one of the editors, which has just been published. So to be launched, but that book again, it will actually be will sort of provide some of the very latest findings from some of the research activities we've been doing in Tanzania and in other countries as well. So in a nutshell, definitely there is a lot to learn, both from the scientific as well as from the policy perspective, from different sort of groups. So hopefully the discussion will be very exciting, and we may even come up with some other areas that require further research, and these are the issues that our researchers will take up for further research activities. Let me take this opportunity to invite the public, including academia, the general public, policymakers, to this very important conference, which will be held at Nyerere International Convention Center from 8th to 10th of October. We will really appreciate your participation so that we can actually have a vibrant discussion and see how best we can collectively come up with solutions for this global challenge that we are all faced with.